November 23rd, 2014, from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California, was the Washington Redskins at the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners won the toss and they elected to defer, so Washington would take over first. They would go 3-and-out on their first possession. Robert Griffin was actually sacked by Aldon Smith for a 9-yard loss on second down. It was really a huge part of why they had to punt, and they went 3-and-out. So now the Niners would get the ball on their own 41 with about 13 and a half minutes left in the first. They would move the ball across midfield on 3rd and 3 from their own 48. Kaepernick went to Anquan Boldin for an 18-yard reception, which made it a first down on the Washington 34. And then on 2nd and 6 from the 30, Colin Kaepernick dropped back to pass, and he found Anquan Boldin for the 30-yard touchdown to put the first points on the scoreboard on the 49ers' first possession of this game, as it was now San Francisco 7, Washington 0. So now Washington would take over on their own 21 with about 11 minutes left in the first quarter, and after 5 plays, they would punt the ball. So now the Niners would take over in the shadow of their own end zone on their own 5-yard line with about 8.5 minutes left in the first quarter. But on 3rd and 4 from the 11, Colin Kaepernick hit Michael Crabtree for 10 yards, and so now it was first down on the 21. Then on 2nd and 7 from the 24, Kaepernick went to Miller for a 20-yard reception to make it a first down on the 44, San Francisco. But their drive stalled on the 42, and they would end up having to bring out the punting unit. So now Washington would take over on their own 8-yard line, but after 4 plays, they would punt the ball back to the Niners. So now San Francisco would take over on their own 46 with less than 2 minutes left in the first. And on 3rd and 7, Kaepernick went to Borland. He picked up 10 yards and the first down, and that brought the first quarter to a close. So after 1 quarter of play, the score was San Francisco 7, Washington 0. So to open up the second quarter, it was first down for the Niners on the Washington 41. They handed it off to Hyde, and Hyde was blown up by Merriweather. He forced the fumble, and Clark recovered. And so now Washington would take over on their own 40. They would go 3-and-out, though, and punt the ball to San Francisco. San Francisco would do the same, as they also went 3-and-out and punted it right back to the Redskins. So now Washington would take over on their own 39 with about 11.5 minutes left before halftime. They would bring the ball across midfield, and on first down from the San Francisco 49, RG3 hit Pierre Garçon for a 24-yard pass that made it a first down on the 25 of San Francisco. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 23, RG3 hit Paul for an 11-yard pass that made it a first down in the red zone on the Niners 12. Alfred Morris then ran for 11 yards to make it 1st and goal on the 1. They were then faced with a 3rd and goal from the 1. They gave it to Morris, and he punched it in from a yard out, and now the game was tied at 7 apiece with the touchdown. So now the Niners would get the ball with about 5.5 minutes left on the clock in the quarter. They had it on their own 7-yard line. They would end up picking up a first down, and then they picked up another first down on 3rd and 1 when Kaepernick ran for 2 yards, and they were faced with a 3rd and 14, and Kaepernick hit Davis for a 12-yard pass. It was now 4th and 2 on the Washington 48. They elected to go for it, and Kaepernick hit Michael Crabtree for a 25-yard pass that made it first down on the 23. But with time coming to a close in the first half, they would bring out Phil Dawson to attempt a 41-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Niners took the lead with the score 10-7, San Francisco over Washington. So to begin the third quarter, the Niners would get the ball first, and they would go 3-and-out on their first possession of the second half. So now Washington would take over, but after 4 plays, they would punt the ball as well. So now San Francisco got the ball back for the second time in the third quarter. There was about 11.5 minutes on the clock. They had it on their own 10-yard line. But then, after picking up a first down on 3rd and 7 from the 13 with a pass from Kaepernick to Boldin for 14 yards to make it a first down on the 27, Kaepernick dropped back to pass, and he was intercepted by Decree. So now Washington took over on their own 33, but they went 3-and-out, and they would end up punting the ball to San Francisco. So now the Niners took over on their own own 8-yard line with about 7.5 minutes left in the third, but after 5 plays, they would end up punting the ball to Washington. So now Washington would take over with about 5 minutes left in the third. They had the ball on their own 22. Morris ran for 11 yards and picked up a first down as he brought it to the 33 of Washington. RG3 then found Deshaun Jackson for a 32-yard reception that brought the ball across midfield into the San Francisco 35. Then on 2nd and 6 from the 31, RG3 was sacked for an 11-yard loss by Lynch, but there was a roughing the passer penalty, and so now it was a first down in the red zone for the Redskins on the San Francisco 16. But they wouldn't get any further. They did get to the 9-yard line, but they wouldn't get into the end zone as Forbath would come out to attempt a 27-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and this game was now tied at 10 apiece. So now the Niners would take over on their own 27 with about a half a minute left before the end of the third, and they would end up bringing the third quarter to a close on 2nd and 10 from the 27 when Kaepernick hit Crabtree for a 5-yard pass. So after 3 quarters of play, this game was knotted up at 10 points apiece. So now to begin the fourth quarter, the Niners had the ball 3rd and 5 on their own 32. They failed to pick up the first down, and so now the punting unit would come out and they'd punt the ball to the Redskins, who would take over on their own 20 with a little over 14 minutes on the game clock. They would end up moving the ball not too far. They got it up to the 33, but after 5 plays, they would punt on this possession. So now the Niners would take over on their own 29, and on first down, Frank Gore ended up fumbling the ball. Murphy forced the fumble. Thomas recovered, and now Washington would take over on the San Francisco 36 with 10 minutes on the game clock. They wouldn't pick up a first down, but they would bring out Forbath to attempt a 46-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Redskins took the lead for the first time in this game with the score Washington 13, San Francisco 10. So now the Niners took over with less than 8 minutes on the game clock. They had the ball on their own 25, trailing by a field goal. Colin Kaepernick was sacked on first down by Hatcher for a 6-yard loss, and that brought up 2nd and 16. Kaepernick then found Boldin for a 10-yard pass to make it 3rd and 6. Kaepernick then went to Davis. He picked up 6, but they actually ruled that it was just shy of the first down. The Niners elected to go for it, and they ended up picking up a first down with a 3-yard run by Frank Gore. So now it's first down for the Niners on the 37. Colin Kaepernick dropped back to pass, and he found Anquan Boldin for a 29-yard reception. There was unnecessary roughness on the play, and so now it was a first down on the Washington 19 as the Niners were now in the red zone. Hyde ran for 5 yards, and on 2nd and 5 from the 14, Kaepernick hit Boldin for 10 yards, and it was now 1st and goal on the 4. They gave it to Hyde, and he got into the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown run as the Niners took back the lead by 4 with the score San Francisco 17, Washington 13. So now the Redskins would take over on their own 20 with 3 minutes on the clock, and they would be forced to punt the ball as they went 3 and out. So now the game went to the 2-minute warning after the punt, and the Niners would take over on their own 22. They would hand the ball off, and Hyde ran for 7 yards. Washington took their first time out. It was 2nd and 3 from the 22. Hyde got stopped for nothing, and so now the Redskins took their second timeout. It was 3rd and 3 from the 29. Hyde then lost 2 yards, and the Redskins took their final timeout as the Niners went 3 and out, and the punting unit came out to punt the ball to Washington. So now Washington would take over on their own 8-yard line with about 90 seconds left in this game. They had a false start on first down that pushed them back to their 4. They're in the shadow of their own end zone, and they ended up with an incomplete pass on 1st and 14. Then on 2nd and 14, RG3 picked up 6 yards to make it 3rd and 8. And on 3rd and 8 from the 10, RG3 was sacked for a 7-yard loss by Smith. He forced the fumble. It was recovered by Brooks, and the Niners took over on the Washington 7. Colin Kaepernick took 2 knees, and this game came to a close with the final score, San Francisco 17, Washington 13. And with the win, the 49ers are 7-4 on the season, 3-2 at home at Levi Stadium. Washington's 3-8 on the season, and they're 1-5 on the road. Colin Kaepernick was 20 for 29 in this game with 256 yards passing, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. He also had 14 yards rushing off of 9 carries. RG3 was 11 for 19 with 106 yards passing, and he had 11 yards off of 4 carries. The leading rusher in this game was Alfred Morris with 21 carries for 125 yards and a touchdown. The leading receiver was Anquan Boldin with 9 receptions for 137 yards and a touchdown. The leading tackler in this game was a tie, as Chris Borland had 8 tackles for the 49ers. And for Washington, Keenan Robinson also had 8 tackles as well. Washington had 2 sacks, as Hatcher had a sack and Ryan Kerrigan had a sack. But the Niners had 5 sacks, as Aldon Smith had 2 sacks, Justin Smith had 1 sack, McDonald had a sack, and Lynch had a sack. The lone interception in this game was for Washington, as Decree get that 1 interception. And this one ends in exciting fashion. An exciting game comes down to the wire. The 49ers scored in the final 3 minutes of this game to go ahead by 4, and they hold on to win with the final score, San Francisco 17, Washington 13.